All right, welcome into the Daily Fix. I am your host, Ron Hughley. As always, every day, 12 Central Standard Time. And yes, we are live from New Orleans, from the Super Bowl. And it's been a good time so far. Did media day last night with the players. Um, ran up to a couple of Chiefs, and I was really sort of hunting down the white skilled players because I do believe the Chiefs have the most touchdowns scored by white players. And I wanted to see, and I got to Justin Watson a little bit to see if he was aware of it. He was not. Um, and and it was a heck of a stat. I asked him what separates you guys in that from everybody else. He didn't really have an answer for it. Said Brett Veach is good. So Brett Veach is really good, and he's got a keen eye for skilled players that are white.
Yeah.
He has nailed it. Between Noah Gray, Justin Watson, Travis Kelce, Carson Steele, and that 88 fella, they've got a good amount of scores out there. But it was a fun time. It's a fun time.
True. I hadn't considered it.
Yeah, it's a stat. It's a stat, another stat that you can add to the greatness of the Kansas City Chiefs in an era where that is against the grain. They turn it into a bang, bang positive. There it is in that little box. You've heard him already. The electric Steve Inserta. Say hello to the people, Steve.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey, if you have not done so, we want it every single day. Please head to our YouTube channel, Foolish Club Media, like and subscribe. You get all the great content we give you this week and beyond. Brian's World will come out tomorrow. Beach season, Chiefs concerns. You've got Show and BK. We're going to do a big time pregame show leading into the Super Bowl, post game show as well. But like and subscribe so you can get all of that info from Foolish Club Media. Not going to hold you too long. Remember, if you don't do so, you don't like and subscribe, you're preventing my 3 children from eating. I just want you to know that. Don't do that. They like to eat. They like tacos. Don't do that. All right. Not going to hold you too long. One of the biggest potential moves, the NFL said we will not be outdone by the NBA. And one of their great players wants to be out and on the move. We'll discuss that. Travis Kelce, on one of the things that's talked about a lot for him, I think kind of addressed it more than anything. We'll discuss that. But let's kick this thing off. You see that medium-sized big fella right there in the all-pro Joe Thuney. And let's just be honest. If you give me my 2 minutes, Steve, Joe Thuney has changed the season. I do not think, and obviously there are other players. Patrick Mahomes jumps out. Xavier Worthy, hell, he has come along. But Steve, to me, I don't think most definitely the Chiefs are here in the Super Bowl again without Joe Thuney and what he did. Kicking out to left tackle changed the season for this team. And you could see the offense. You could just look at the numbers offensively. They're all up with him at left tackle. But I can't help but to tell what I've been thinking over the last, I'd say since they finished the divisional round against the Texans and they've played teams where it feels like guys like Ed Oliver or that 97 fella who picked Frank Caliendo up and off the ground in that key fourth down or fourth quarter drive, picked him up off his damn feet and drove him into a sack that ruined the drive that the Chiefs had to settle for a field goal. But watching all that and understanding, like, yes, the Eagles have a good edge rushers, Sweat and Smith are good edge rushers. But clearly, sort of their strength is inside with Carter and Davis, and they put another pass rusher in there on passing downs where their strength is. And I do see, God, what is Jordan Davis or Carter going to do to 66? If 97 from the Bills, was it Daquan Jones? If he can pick him up and take him off his feet, a grown man, that's a problem. I wonder if there has been consideration of kicking Joe in, having 2 weeks because the strength of their D line is more interior than it is outside, and the thought of can DJ Humphries handle that? I'm not saying I think they'll probably go with what's happened, but I do get a concern with Caliendo against any of those interior guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to have to try to give him some help there because that is the strength of this defensive line. Like when they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, their strength was their edge rushers, and it's not the case now. Like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are absolutely studs, and the Eagles' strength is really their secondary and those two on the interior. We haven't talked a ton about it, but them losing the Kobe Dean was a big blow. He had been a really good linebacker for them this year, was having a breakout season. Then he got hurt, and he's not going to be available this week. But I don't think it's something like I feel like they've already committed to Thuney at left tackle.
Yeah.
And you can't really go back now because of how the offense is played overall. You just have to hope that they have an answer on the inside if they're attacking Caliendo the entire time.
I just say in this case, I wouldn't be as insane about it with this because I've watched that play multiple times. He picked that man up off the ground and drove him 5 yards off his feet into Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, good God Almighty. So you're probably right. They'll probably keep the hot hand, but that is something to watch. All right, Travis Kelce yesterday as opening night. They were around. So many questions were posed to him, a lot of things. But the thing that came out, and thing that's been talked about, could this be it? Could this be the last ride? If the Chiefs win this or whatever, and they win their third in a row, and it'll be 4 for Travis. And Travis, will he just Ray Lewis this thing and ride off into the sunset? Because obviously Travis has a lot of things outside of football, not just his girlfriend, soon to be probably more, but he's doing movies, he's doing television shows, he's doing his podcast that's jumped off. We see what's happened with his brother lately, and Travis is a bigger star and a bigger personality. You can see a lot. He set himself up. But Travis, when posed about retiring, could this be it? Said, hopefully in the next 3 years, I still see myself playing football. I love doing this. I love coming into work every day. I feel like I have a lot of football left in me. And I've always felt this way, Steve. I think he's going to hang on to this thing as long as he can. I mean, I think we see a 400-yard year before Travis retires. I think we see that first. I think Travis is going to hang around, and not just hang around because, listen, he was a Pro Bowler this year. He was the second best tight end in the AFC behind Brock Bowers. And he's not going to be that, the best, top, to me, 5 tight end easy. But Serta, over the next 2-3 years, I still think that Travis Kelce will be a top 10 tight end. And I think he will be able to help this team. And he feels like he's going to be a 700 to 800 yard guy over the next couple of years. So he's just 35. I could see him playing 37, 38 years old. So I think a lot of people just kind of assume that he wants to do all these things. Hell, LeBron doesn't have to retire to do all of his outside ventures. Players don't have to retire to do all their outside ventures. He's doing them damn things, and he will continue to do so while he's playing. I think he's got at least 2 more years in.
Yeah, I tend to agree. He doesn't seem like a player that is ready to just walk away, depending on what happens in the Super Bowl, maybe that changes, but he's still a really good player. He's still a super effective player, and he's chasing some milestones that have a chance to be things that are going to withstand for a long time. Like, by the time this is all said and done, he might be the greatest postseason performer that we've ever seen from a receiver position. And he's got a chance to make that happen if he continues to play. And I have to imagine that knowing how competitive he is and the way like him and Patrick Mahomes think about this stuff, like those are things that matter to him. I don't think those are things that he's just like, oh no, I got my rings and I'm ready to go. Like I think he wants to be remembered as one of the greatest players who's ever set foot on a football field.
I think even this year sort of is a test study. How did his body feel this year? Because they didn't, he had 97 catches, but it felt like many games that Travis was kind of taking rest within games. Didn't feel like his usage rate, that's an NBA term, but his usage rate was as high. If he felt good this year, you can see the next couple of seasons being like this at the end, right? I think you've brought it up. We're Rob Gronkowski at the end, although him and Rob are, I think, the same age right now currently. But Rob at the end, they really ramped it up later. Like his usage and everything didn't happen throughout the whole year. And you can see that coming because, as you said, like you get him in these money times and in this part of it, that's when he's big. All right. Finally, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, I think very politely sort of requested a trade.
It's more than they deserve.
He was very polite with it. Nice message. But he wants out, right? 8 years. He said he's 8 years in Cleveland. He loves the people and loves Northeast Ohio. And I think he even has love for the franchise. It's just, as he said, his goals are to compete. Hell, not even win, compete for a championship. And listen, I think he probably thought that place was going to happen. I know we don't remember this Deshaun Watson anymore, but the Deshaun Watson they thought they were getting was a potential top 5 quarterback to go along with all the stuff they had. And hell, he's thinking, man, we had the Chiefs on the ropes to get to the AFC Championship game with Baker. What are we going to do with Deshaun? And that's just not happened. And that organization is just the Browns. They just struggle to do anything anyway. And you look at that, and I'm with them. I'm not about to just sit here and look up here. And next thing you know, man, it's 3 years when my contract's up, 2-3 years when my contract's up, and damn, I'm 11 in, and I'm not as good as I was. And where are we going? And if I'm him, I can't wait through another rebuild because I don't think it's not there. And honestly, I think in a way that you just said when we started this conversation, more than they deserve. I think the Browns should bend over backwards to give this to him. I'm not saying trade him to the Bengals or trade him to the Steelers, but I think they should be like, you know what, man, it's time for us to start over too. This is a way we can kickstart this thing. We can get multiple first-round picks, multiple draft picks to try to help us because we're not going anywhere, and this is the best move we can make. And listen, just go ahead and facilitate this thing. Washington makes a lot of sense. Rookie deal, quarterback, need defense in the NFC Championship game makes a lot of sense. I don't know if that's where you want to go. NFC teams, Atlanta, young quarterback, good defense, good skills, makes a lot of sense. I think they should absolutely help him be able to figure this thing out, and he should be going. This shouldn't. I will be really pissed if they Detroit Lions this thing and they try to force what they did to Calvin and Barry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I also think that the Browns are absolutely the kind of organization that will do that.
I know it.
I think the Haslams are the worst owners in the sport right now, and them refusing to move on from Deshaun Watson, even after knowing that it's the worst trade in sports history, is going to handcuff them forever because they just don't want to rip off the Band-Aid and pay all that money out, which they volunteered to pay when they made that trade. And then they've handcuffed their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, which I feel bad for him because I think he's a good coach who's just stuck there with his hands tied behind his back in this Deshaun Watson situation. And Myles Garrett is just another player who's going to be wasted by this franchise, the same way Nick Chubb has, the same way they wasted Joe Thomas's Hall of Fame career.
He's got to see that. And I don't want to be this.
Yeah, he's just another player in a long line of players that have been totally wasted by that franchise.
Absolutely. Let him out, man. Let him out. Do something nice, Jim, for once. Jimmy. Hi, Mom. And Courtney.